All right, so we're going to get started, and just a quick introduction to myself. I've been on the social team now for about 18 months. Before that, I was on the content marketing team for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And then before that, I did technical project management in the cloud, a bunch of project management stuff, and I worked really closely with engineers and different things like that. And so I've been in the marketing world now a little over 5 years and have really enjoyed it. So the big question right now is like, why should we even evolve our social marketing mix, right? And the answer I think is kind of simple. It comes down to Moore's law, right? And everyone is familiar with Moore's law. It says that the number of transistors on an integrated circuit doubles about every 18 to 24 months. And that's what's led to this like massive advancements in technology. And the thing is, with Moore's law, it applies to all aspects of technology, I believe. It's not just the circuits, it's how technology is just really changing the world and software is eating the world. And so if we are in the technology industry, then you can kind of expect these same sort of advancements as well, right? Things are not going to stay the same. They're rapidly changing in this space. So as a social media marketer, we have to change as well. Otherwise, we are at risk of being left behind or not getting as much returns on our investment. So the first thing really to understand about our social media mix is that there's two components that I work with and Styles and I work with. And it's really the organic component and the paid component. So let's talk a little bit about this because I know a lot of people might be a little confused about the different kinds of social that are out there. So the organic. What is organic social? This is the social probably most people are familiar with in this room. Everyone posts to Facebook. Probably half of you post to Twitter. And if you're under 25, you post to Snapchat, right? Everyone's familiar with the organic social. That's just, I'm gonna put out my message to the world and people get to read it, right? And so back in the day, that's how all social was because there was no paid platforms. It was this kind of virgin, untrodden snow, if you will. And everyone put out their message and it was read and it was really easy. And so a lot of people, when they think of social, they think, hey, Garrett, go ahead and tweet this out. I have this great press release. Go ahead and tweet it out. Okay, we can do that, and that's going to be the organic piece. Now, something has changed, though, over time, and that is that the marketers have ruined organic social. Everyone keeps on putting out their message over and over and over again, and everyone thinks that they're going to read their message. And if you've been on Twitter or Facebook, you know on Twitter, your stream just goes, it just gets buried super quick. On Facebook, it might not even show up because Facebook has tweaked its algorithm, and it only shows the relevant content to the people, right? And so it's really important to understand that while organic social is great, and you can get your message out via organic social, if you are a marketer and you're trying to get your message out to the market, that's where you need paid social. And paid social takes that money, right? This is where the social marketing that's like very akin to paid display. It's inserting your message into the feed of someone on social media. So it's the sponsored updates in Facebook, sponsored updates in LinkedIn, and in Twitter, promoted tweets, and all that stuff. And so what it really allows is for your message to be seen multiple times. Instead of being buried in the social feed, it's surfaced to the top. And the other really exciting thing about the paid social is we can actually target. We can zero in and get your message in front of the right people. So that way, if you have an AWS message, it's in front of the people who are likely consuming AWS. If you're trying to target CIOs, we can try to target those CIOs. And this is great because this is matching up your message with the audience. Again, it takes exactly what's up on the screen. It takes a little bit of money, and you have to be prepared for that. Okay, so now that we have that kind of understood, the differences between organic and paid social, let's talk a little bit about how we are changing our mix for really. These experiments have been ongoing at the beginning of the year, 2016, and how we're kind of shifting our strategy and how we do social marketing for the remainder of 2016. Okay? So let's focus on paid first, because that's going to be most applicable probably to marketers who are trying to get their message out. The first thing is with LinkedIn. All right, so LinkedIn is the network of professionals, and so a lot of people are apt to consume information about their professional career. This is where they're most likely going to want to sign up for a webinar, for a white paper. They're going to trade that email address because they're on this social network to further their career. So it therefore implies that they will probably be more prone to marketing to enhance that career. So we found a lot of success for any gated content. It really, really works well on LinkedIn, be it gated webinars, gated white papers, whatever. It works well because it's the right context. It's enhancing their career, and they're on the career network. Now, originally, we were a little apprehensive of putting a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, and the reason was the cost per click is extraordinary, right? It might be 10 times the cost per click on a Facebook ad, but because it's in front of the right audience, the context is right, your cost to get someone to fill out provide that email address to get that gated content is like 40% less than Facebook. It's like 4x less than Twitter. And so what's really important is to understand which metric are you trying to measure. And if you're trying to measure actually getting the form fills and getting the email addresses, LinkedIn is king for B2B, especially in the tech space we found. So that's one change we're advising our partners that if you have that gated content, you want to be on LinkedIn. The second change to our paid mix. We were on Facebook for a while, and then we kind of got off of Facebook. And Facebook's been going through a lot of changes, and we've really kind of started testing and gravitating back. And one of the things for website clicks, and so this is just more awareness, right? So if the form fills is more consideration, the website clicks would be more awareness. Facebook is really effective at sending traffic to websites, okay? I don't want to pay 10x on LinkedIn to send someone to a website just to read it and consume it. But I'm willing to pay 10 times less on Facebook to get that traffic and build that awareness. And so Facebook's really good at that. The spend is right. And it has a very high degree of targeting. So the wonderful thing about both Facebook and LinkedIn, the people who fill out their profiles, they tell you who they are. We don't have to guess, right? They say where they work. They say what their interests are. They say all these things. There's just a ton of data that's not there on Twitter. Twitter, you have 140 characters to say who you are, right, in your profile. And they're kind of making judgments on that, on who you follow, of who you might be. But Facebook, actually, you tell Facebook who you are. And so for a website click, we've been seeing now it competitive, if not better than Twitter, and we have that ability to do a little bit extra targeting. So for website clicks, we're encouraging people, or I'm encouraging people to really adopt a Facebook strategy. You still might want to have some Twitter, but Facebook's going to be a great place to be. And so that leaves our last kind of network that we're really dominant on is Twitter. And the thing that Twitter just absolutely owns is events. You don't get better than Twitter. Every event has a hashtag, and one of the reasons it's so powerful is because Twitter is the water cooler. Twitter is where the conversation happens. And so for events, you want to be on Twitter. Why don't you want to be on LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn, their geo-targeting just is, quite frankly, awful. The only way you geo-target is based on where their company is located. It has no notion, the platform has no notion of where I am right now, right? Facebook does. It has a certain notion of where I am right now, but people aren't checking in on Facebook for event coverage as much, as at least what we've found. Twitter is where the conversation is right then at the event. And so this is largely an awareness play. It's a play to get people to see your speakers, to get people to your booth, to get people exposed to your message, not for clicks, but just to have that awareness at these massive events. And we've seen really good results at OpenStack Summit. We've seen amazing results at IRCE. We've seen great results at some of the OzCons. And so this is a great place and a great vehicle for paid social for events. So those are our three main changes. So to summarize, it's any sort of gated content, LinkedIn is really effective and cost effective. Web clicks, Facebook, and events, Twitter, to kind of package it in a short and sweet way. All right, but that's only half of the equation, right? That's our paid component. We still like to get stuff for free, and that's what the organic piece is. And so how are we making changes to our organic social strategy? And again, this is the stream, this is the public-facing stream. With the paid, you might not ever be exposed to that message, but the organic, you're going to see if you go to our Rackspace pages. So the very first one is frequency. We are posting a whole lot more to our social networks. When we first joined, the team was very adamant on not annoying people, right? We don't want to get in the way. And that's something that I really appreciate about the team. It's all about being helpful and not being spammy. And I think that's fantastic. But we've seen a lot of changes recently. A lot of people, a lot of brands are posting far more frequently because of that notion of the feed just goes down. So how are some ways that we're posting more frequently? First off, we're always posting our blogs that come on the blog. We're making sure that we get those posted. Then at noon, there's always a community post. And why are we posting that? Well, that's like who Rackspace is. That is truly who we are. We are being helpful. We're providing information to our customers. So at noon, every day, you're seeing a community post throughout the week. At 3 p.m., we're kind of recycling some content that was really good and resonated with people. And then we've expanded it now to on the weekends. We're realizing that, okay, it's real easy to post Monday through Friday. Let's just test on what it's like on the weekend. And so we started that recently, and it's been amazing. Some of the tweets on the weekend have received more retweets, favorites, engagement than paid tweets during the week. And so the theory is people are at home, they're bored, they're checking their phone. Why not try to engage them? Now, the weekend content we've noticed has to be a little bit different. It's not going to be your, like, here's a technical white paper, da-da-da-da. It's more like helpful and helping them with a problem. And so we saw that one piece in particular that did really well was LVH. He is in the security group, and he's incredibly talented and smart. And he has this cryptography 101 course, crypto101.io. And so we sent out this tweet, and this thing just caught like wildfire. No paid, nothing behind it, but it was the right message. And I feel that the weekends are becoming a ripe time to send out those messages. Okay? The next thing that we're doing, we're getting into the movies. We're going to put you in the picture, kid. We are really going big on live streaming. I attended South by Southwest. I went to Mario Armstrong's talk, and he's this live streaming guru. And he was like, this is where to be right now. This is the place that you can get a lot of free buzz live streaming because people aren't doing it. It's kind of like Facebook for brands in 2006, Twitter for brands in 2008, right? People aren't there. The marketers haven't ruined it, to quote Gary Vee, right? And so what we're seeing is a lot of good pickup with live streaming. And this includes live streaming on Facebook Live and as well as Periscope. And so we're doing those two things at events. You might have seen some of Styles' work at IRCE and OpenStack Summit. And we've also partnered with our cloud office hours live stream, Alan and Drew, to co-broadcast their things, and Tyler, to co-broadcast their live streams to Facebook and Twitter. It's been awesome. So that's a great place to get in. We're looking at maybe even expanding it further going up with this upcoming year. And the last thing that we've really changed with our organic mix is we're really trying to focus on helping people at the events, like providing that sort of live coverage as our schedules allow. Jason and I try to get out to these live events because we found that when you're in the conversation at those live events, that can help with that awareness. It can help drive people to your experience that is at an event. So Solves, IRCEs, OpenStack Summits, all those things we're really trying to get in front of. So that's how we've changed our organic mix and how we're looking to change it for the rest of 2016. Posting more frequently and maybe doing more tests along those lines. Getting involved with live streaming, and also supporting as many live events with on-the-ground efforts as we can. So that is pretty much all of my presentation. I clocked in right at 15 minutes, what I tell all my guests to do, so that's good. And I'd be happy to open up the floor for any questions. I talk to a lot of people who are social media marketers or help maintain the channels. And they say, the one thing to kind of kill off any activity you have on social is to start doing social for a brand. Because it's kind of like when I worked at a record store. The last thing I wanted to do when I went home was listen to music, right? Because you're around it all day long. And so it's the similar thing on social. And I think that's something that's really a tricky balance, because you do want to be out there. You want to be kind of creating and doing things, but at the same time, you're burned out. And so one of the things that I do is just to try to like allocate some time, be it at night or right when I get in, first thing in the morning for maybe 15, 20 minutes to do something, and then put it out to the world and kind of help share my expertise. I think it's similar to talk techie, similar to open source. Right? We have a lot of people here who are gurus in MongoDB or on WordPress or all these numerous open source platforms. And so they're doing some of that in their personal life, but it carries over into their work because that way they're exploring and testing and getting insights, and then they get to bring it to the work. So that's kind of how I strike that balance. For our jobs as social media marketers, the priority is going to go to paid campaigns. So that's, I think, the first thing to really understand, that there's only so much time in the day, and so we have to really make sure that we assist our partners who kind of are paying the bills, right? As far as if you do have it, the best way you can do is to reach out via email and ask us to post something, and just realize that the more lead time that you give us, the better, right? If you want something posted right now, it's not like we're a short order cook and like, okay, we got some fried eggs and bacon and a side of Twitter, right? So give us some time, and that's gonna go mild. That's gonna just go so much further if you give us time. So I'll send out the email distro that you can email, and I think that probably goes for anyone doing social at any company. Like the more time that you give them, the better, and the better ability they're gonna have to help you out. So we had a question on video. Joanna asked, what percentage of people are on Twitter versus Facebook versus LinkedIn? You know, those stats are always changing. I think with Facebook, it's something obscene. It's like almost 2/3 of the globe or 1/3 of the globe. I mean, it's like billions of people. LinkedIn and Twitter, they've released their numbers. I don't know them offhand, but I mean, they're in the order of magnitude of 300 millions, right? But the question that you should really be asking is, what percentage of my target audience are on those platforms? How can I reach my target audience? And so when marketers provide those personas and the people that they're trying to get, these platforms have sophisticated tools that we can kind of enter in. You know, I want a sysadmin who's an expert on Red Hat who lives in Chicago, right? We can start zeroing in on those type of things. And so, when it comes down to where our personas located, that's where we as social marketers work really closely with the marketing teams to identify. But again, it still kind of holds true if you're looking for effective spend. Gated content's better on LinkedIn. Web clicks are going to be Facebook for a cheaper kind of click and more targeted, but Twitter, you're going to want to be a little there too, and then Twitter for events. Currently, our team isn't doing a whole lot of YouTube marketing. I've done a fair amount in the past. But I think one of the reasons, I personally don't necessarily think YouTube is as social because it's more for videos that have already been created as opposed to videos that are being created in the moment. And I think that's kind of the demarcation, right? That's not to say that it's not a platform that we should not be on or have conversations and engagement around, but as far as something like more social, I think that's where you start getting into the Facebook Lives and the Periscopes, the Blabs, and even though your YouTube has a YouTube Live, that's just my own personal opinion.
Well, YouTube has such a long tail, right? So that's what I've noticed is that people will, the videos we made 3 years ago are still getting, not significant views, but people are still finding them, and it's almost exclusively through search. And so people are looking for, using load balancers at Rackspace, and they find something we wrote 3 years ago.
Right, or how to fix a car, how to lay tile. I mean, like that. YouTube is, man, that's the place to be if you have anything how-to. Anything how-to needs to be on YouTube, because I think now people are more inclined, show me, don't tell me. I think that if you are trying to put out something that's representative of the brand, it's always good to maybe tie off with your social department. That's something, meaning you're doing something specifically on behalf of Rackspace or on behalf of your company. Now, that being said, if you want to talk about an area of expertise that's in your job, I view it as open source. Like, share that expertise. Like, go create an article about a load balanced environment with an HA database master slave replication, right? Do that, whatever. But it becomes a little tricky when you start representing the brand. You want to always make sure to tie off. And then naturally, you don't want to share any kind of forward-looking statements, anything that you are working on at work that's a forthcoming product, and anything financially related, right? But anything along the lines of being helpful, and I solved this crazy article or crazy issue today. Here's an article how. I think that that's always something that's welcomed and encouraged. All right, so thank you guys. The next session, I'm excited about this one. This is going to be why do people wear branded shirts? And I'm not talking Gucci or let's do a throwback Jabot. I'm not talking any of those branded shirts. Yeah, that just happened. What I'm talking about is people, why do they buy products from brands that sell something else? So why do I wear a Whataburger shirt? Why did I purchase this Theory coffee cup today when I bought my Theory coffee, right? I was there to buy coffee, but why did I buy something kind of tangential? And so we're going to have an awesome person come talk to us next week. His name is Ryan Burkhart. He works at Kong's Screen Printing and Design. It's in Austin, Texas. And he is art history, was in the past life an art history professor. He was also an exhibiting artist, and now he's working in the screen printing industry. And Ryan has some really interesting insights about why people actually purchase these products and what's that driving force behind it. I think that this is going to tie really closely. There's going to be some good takeaways for brand that people will be able to understand, whether that is a company brand or your personal brand. So anyway, that one will be a good one. So be sure to come next Thursday, 9:30 a.m. All right, guys, thank you very much for attending. I really appreciate it. Great questions.